Well, we have a slightly different angle for today's video, and that's because the star of today, well, he's a big boy. And it's something that, well, the people on Twitter that know I have it have been asking me to review for years. And at first I didn't want to review it because I thought, well, everybody and their grandmother who owns one had probably reviewed it by now and given their thought. Everybody knows about it. But then people said, yeah, but we want to know what you think of it. And I said, okay. So here it is. Finally getting to review this big boy. The Nintendo Virtual Boy. Oh boy, what a specimen this guy is. Let's take him off the tripod here. This way I could show him off a little bit better. That is the Virtual Boy. Nintendo's 3D virtual reality portable video game system from 1995. Yeah, I don't know if I'd call this one portable. Might as well show you the tripod here. This comes with the Virtual Boy, thankfully. What I think it really needs is a head strap, but such is that. So yeah, there's the tripod mounted on there. Put the Virtual Boy on a table, shove it in your face, and get a headache in about 7 minutes. Because the way this works is it does indeed show 3D, and I'm not talking just a polygon. It's a stereoscopic image where you basically have two screens. Each screen is slightly offset from the other. So when you put both your eyes in it, you get a stereo visual effect, and it appears 3D. And, I mean, it works, but, oh boy, it really does give you a headache after about 15 or 20 minutes, which is why most of, if not all the games, when you first boot it up, it asks you if you want it to automatically pause the game every 15 minutes to take a break. So yeah, let's take a further look at the console itself. So we got some stuff on here, adjust the focus. This adjusts, I believe, the tilt of the LEDs, because the way this works in a nutshell is, well, the screen shows two colors, and those two colors are represented by the color of the system, red and black. That's it. Those are the only two colors you get. Because apparently in '95, the cheapest LEDs to get a hold of were red ones, and getting enough to make a full color screen, cost-wise, was just out of the question. So each image is a single LED that, I forget if it draws them vertically or horizontally, but it goes so fast across a mirror that it actually produces a full picture from that one LED. That's kind of in a nutshell how it works. You could watch anybody else who actually knows what they're talking about. But technically, I guess I'd say it's pretty impressive, at least for the time, but it's really sad to think that this was created by the same guy who invented the Game Boy. And that sold, what, hundreds of millions of units? This probably sold less than 1 million, maybe more, I don't know. But then after he made this, he left Nintendo, and not even a year later, he actually died in a car accident. There's your morbid fact of the day. Rest in peace, Gunpei Yokoi. So yeah, that's the unit right there. Now, how do you control the thing? Here's the controller. And the controller is very interesting because that's also where the power is routed to. Right now I have it hooked up to an AC adapter, you know, the one that's dragging the piranha plant across the desk accidentally. Sorry. Or the stock way to do it was to put 6 AA's in here. I never really liked that idea though, because you don't really have a way of knowing if the batteries are low. I guess you just play it until it shuts off, and any progress you made is just lost without warning, and that's it. I mean, there's no power indicator like a Game Boy. There's no LED that dims over time or turns red. That was not a pun on the screens, I swear. But this is also a unique specimen because of the buttons. You may have noticed 2 D-pads, and actually very few games used both D-pads to do different things. Teleroboxer, for instance, is one of those that does, and each D-pad control. It's a boxing game. I probably should have mentioned that. Each D-pad controls one of the 2 robots' fists that you play as, and you play it from a first-person view, and it's kind of cool looking, actually. But other than that, select Start, BA, and you got triggers on the back. There's a Galactic Pinball game that uses those as the flippers, but it just makes you wish you were playing a real pinball machine, because they're not analog, so you don't, if you press it harder, it's not hitting the ball harder, so it just kind of makes you feel like you're lacking the actual experience. Yeah, the power supply, like I said, is in here. On-off switch is on here. So, this port, that plugs into the bottom of the Virtual Boy. Let's get the lighting. There we go. That guy that guy in the back there. That provides the controller input and the power. Pretty neat. And if you're wondering what this port does, that, come on lighting, you can do it. Yeah, that slimmer port that's labeled external, that does a whole lot of nothing. It was supposed to be used to hook Virtual Boys together, kind of like a link cable does for the Game Boy, but it was discontinued so quickly that they never came out with a cable that did that, nor any games that took advantage of that feature. So that poor port never gets used. Poor little guy. Well, let's go ahead and put it on the tripod here to get the full effect once again. There we go. So that's your Virtual Boy setup. It's off screen, but trust me, the Virtual Boy is still on top of there. So you put it on a table, put your face in there, and get immersed in gaming goodness. So what are the games like? Well, I'm actually quite proud of my Virtual Boy collection, considering the fact that what I'm holding right now is about half of the games ever released for it in North America. I think Japan was slightly more, but not by much. So the games I have for it are Wario Land, which is already in the Virtual Boy, Red Alarm, Mario Clash, Nestor's Funky Bowling, Tellero Boxer, and Galactic Pinball. I couldn't remember if that was the last one or not. I lost count. And the connector is very interesting too. It's not a standard connector pin like you'd find on an NES or SNES or even a Game Boy cartridge. It's a pin receptacle, and I've opened this up, which I'll explain later why. I've opened this up, and inside the console is just an array of pins, 2 rows of pins that insert into here, and I don't know, maybe makes the cartridges smaller, but they do look kind of cool though, as I try to put the dust cover back on off screen, which I succeeded in doing. So there's your games right there. So, let's go ahead and fire this thing up. You know what? Maybe first I'll mention why I opened it. So, inevitably I'm going to get asked by people who are interested in the Virtual Boy, should I collect it? Should I add it to my collection? Well, let me give you a bit of a warning on that. Obviously, price is going to be the first obstacle, but one of the other obstacles is going to be the fact that it might not work. Well, it'll technically work, but the screens will be messed up. See, the inside of the Virtual Boy, for each of the 2 screens, so to speak, I'll just keep calling them screens, even though they're kind of technically not with the LED. Anyway, the ribbon cable that connects each of the 2 of them to the guts of the Virtual Boy, they're glued on pretty weakly, and they do become disconnected over time. And what you'll notice when you're playing games, you'll know it's starting to go bad when you get random horizontal lines going across on either one of the 2 eye pictures, or both if you're lucky. And what you have to actually do to help fix that is take it apart. Better be good with a soldering gun, because you got to put it at a low temperature and kind of just run it across the end of the ribbon cable to warm up the glue and the solder just enough to reseat the connections, basically. But if you do it too much, you will burn right through the ribbon cable, and then you'll have no screen at all. So you got to be really careful. You got to be really good with a soldering iron. Also, it is a pain in the butt to open. See these screws right here? They're game bit screws. Now, by now, what is this, 2020? Yeah. By now, you can go on the internet and buy a game bit, no problem. Open it up just fine. So what's the issue? Well, look in here. Way in here. These screws, holy cow, they are the deepest. Basically, to get it open, I had to take my screwdriver and put a bit on top of a bit on top of a bit on top of another bit to have it be skinny enough and long enough to reach into these recessed holes. I mean, these holes are so deep, they're deeper than the true hidden reason why YouTube demonetized me in the first place 11 years ago. Still don't understand that, but yeah. What's the point I was trying to make again? Oh yeah, they're deep. So it is very hard to open. Definitely the hardest retro console I own to open up ever. And I got quite a bit of them. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Maybe it's a pathetic thing. Oh well. let's go ahead and fire it up. Now, speaking of motion sickness here, we're going to move the camera up a bit. Actually, let's hold off on doing that just yet. It's going to be hard to get a picture of this thing running, I'll let you know now, because you really are meant to play this thing with your face directly in it. Let's see what I can do. Bear with me. Now, can we get that zoomed in a bit? That might be as good as we're getting, everybody. I apologize. So, like I said, I have Wario Land in there right now. Automatic pause. Let's turn that off. Here's the intro for Wario Land. I'll turn up the sound a little bit. One thing you'll notice about the Virtual Boy is it's very loud, and that's a good thing. Seriously, the games I do own on this thing, they actually have pretty good music, and it is enjoyable to listen to. So yeah, my screen thankfully works fine, because it did get to a point where I've had to take it apart at least twice and resolder the ribbon cables. Occasionally, even still when I'm playing it, I might get a few horizontal lines that start to appear, but they go away pretty quickly over time, so I think it's just a fluke, really. If I tilt it, I can help you guys see more of the screen at once. There is a status bar down there, lives and coins and whatnot. But it's not going to do it justice to have it on video. You really got to see this in person. Especially because you're not getting the stereoscopic effect, of course. But I almost went to hit the power switch on the camera. That would have been a blooper. Alright, so I turned that off. Let's see. I'm not going to play all these games. You guys can barely see them anyway. Let's put in Red Alarm. I always kind of like the music in this game. Come on. There we go. There, if you wanted to see Wario Land with a big shadow. I think that shadow is being cast by my big head. Put Red Alarm in there. Have trouble putting Red Alarm in there. Oh, that's because I was putting in Red Alarm upside down. Put it in the correct way. Trust my commentary, that did all happen. Notice the picture was kind of like shifting a little bit. I think that was actually when you first turn it on, the motor that makes the LEDs move really fast, that's it kind of warming up. And at the same time, I think that was the camera trying to adjust to its refresh rate. Let's see. Automatic pause. No, thank you. I think I hit off. I don't know. I'm actually looking through the viewfinder of the camera, so I'm seeing just as much as you guys are. See, this is kind of... This game is alright. It does technically render polygons, but everything's a wireframe. None of the polygons are actually filled. So it actually makes it pretty difficult to ever truly feel like you're in the game or know what you're doing. Oh, thank you. He just wished me good luck. I really do like the music in this game, though. I'm just going to play it a little bit for you.
Here we go.
I forgot what button shoots. That's pause. That's the ceiling, I think. Is that the ceiling? I think that was a... What am I hitting? Did I go under something? Alright, so you got the idea. I can't get over the music. I really do like that. Maybe I'll play that for one of my intros for my streams one of these times soon. So, I guess that's all you can really say about the Virtual Boy. I'm honestly trying to think of anything else to say about it, but what can be said that I haven't already said? It was ambitious of Nintendo to give it a try, I'll give it that. Honestly, it's probably something that should have stayed on the design table. I think it was more maybe to fill the gap between the Super Nintendo and the N64, because by this point, everybody knew that Ultra 64, as it was called then, was coming out. And I think people just wanted a 3D fix as soon as they could get it. And Nintendo saw what might have been an opportunity to cash in on that, but in the end, they released the Virtual Boy. So I guess to conclude this, I will reiterate once again, if you are thinking of collecting this, be aware that you are going to most likely have to repair it yourself, and it's not going to be the most fun of times. But it's a cool thing to have, I guess, to say, hey, I have a Virtual Boy. I've had this for about 10 years now, at least, and I'm finally getting around to making a video about it, because you guys wanted it so bad. Hope it was what you guys wanted. But thank you guys again for tuning in, and you all just lost the game. Leave a comment down below if you lost the game too. Oh, God. Thank you guys so much for watching, and a huge thank you to the Patreon donors listed below. You guys are super awesome. Wouldn't be able to do it without the support from all of you guys. And if you haven't checked it out yet, Patreon links down below in the description. There's links to Discord and Twitch also. Live streaming every Tuesday on Twitch. Come join us.